Alright, and hello everyone to a new game. I'm going to be playing some Kerbal Space Program. One of the things you'll probably notice right off the bat here is it's very jumpy. And that's just because I will be doing streams of this game mostly, and then just doing a post-commentary after. Playing career mode, as you can see, just running with the basic settings. And from here, another thing is I have a lot of mods installed. If I remember, I'll try to include a list of them in the description, but mostly I just use CCAN to get those installed, and yeah, seem to work pretty well. So next up for the first missions I'm going to do, I'm going to accept the crew report and the launch missions, but I'm not yet going to accept the atmosphere or orbit just yet. A little bit too ambitious for my liking. Going over to the VAB, just doing a quick read through of that, but also speeding up the build of the rocket just to make it a bit faster on the videos. Again, if you want to see the full thing, I do stream, so. And as you can see here, I actually did make a bit of a mistake with my staging, which I go ahead and notice and fix right here. Very important to always check your staging. Having them backwards is not going to work well. And from here, we'll do that first crew report for that mission. And just slowly remembering the controls. It's been a while since I've played this game. Also gonna hop out onto EVA and just do a crew report from there, as well as taking the data as well, just in case I am able to get a crew report from up higher. And there's the EVA report there, as I was saying. One thing to note is that I was also unaware, because the last time I played this game was a long time ago. They fixed the bug where while you're hanging on to a pod, you can get a different EVA of like flying over Kerbin. They fixed that a while ago. Just checking through the missions here, seeing what I have to do, realizing I actually have to retrieve the data, so I go ahead and do the launch. With any good old Kerbal Space Program playthrough, this is pretty much going to be the first rocket that I need to do. Very, very basic. Typically the one parachute will be enough. With mine, I tend to try to keep those mystery goo containment units a bit higher, so that way when I'm coming back down they don't mess up the airflow quite as much. And as you can see there, now I take that second crew report, which I made space for, back on the ground, just to make sure I get a decent amount of science off this first launch here. I believe shortly here I do also take one of the mystery goo sciences, if I remember to. Just noticing how high up I go, and yeah. And I launched my parachute way too soon, but there we go. So mystery goo from up high, and now it'll be quite some time before we get back down to the ground. I do try to speed this up a little bit, but physical time warp is always fun. Of course, during this whole time I'm debating of whether or not I should or shouldn't hop out of the capsule, but I'm pretty sure I'm way too low to hop out of the capsule, and poor Jeb would go flying off into the air. But, as I said, time warp down, parachute opens up, nice and smooth. As you can see, speed drops down real nice and low, so I don't have to worry about smacking the ground too hard. But always make sure to drop your time warp before you hit the ground, because the physical time warp is not liked by the game, unfortunately. And next up here, just doing the EVA report from over here, taking the data and storing it again, doing the EVA, and there we go. And then I try to grab the crew report from inside, pop out, and this is where I was saying, like, I didn't realize that they fixed that bug where you could get 2 different EVA reports in. I wasn't paying quite enough attention to reading through it to realize that it was actually the same one that I had taken. And as you can see, definitely will not be able to get back up into spacecraft. So I just recover Jeb, get the small amount of science from him, and decent amount of reputation and funds and all that returned. And I recovered the spacecraft, and there we go. And you probably noticed, but I forgot to take the mystery groove from the ground. Later on, I did end up building a little science rover to go around and grab more science data. But now I take a look and see what our missions I can do as these 2 are completed. Nice little bit of change and experience in science from that. So next up, I do a quick upgrade of that just to ensure that I have all the things that benefits from, and then I go into my research and unlock a couple of things here just to make getting into orbit and escaping the atmosphere a bit easier. And then from here, I just go through and see. I do decide to take these 2, the escape the atmosphere and hum and haw about the orbit Kerbin. But I do, after taking a second to think about it, accept it there, just because it takes so long before it expires. So, and this is just building up the second variation of the rocket here, adding on some more science, get some more data, and building this up a fair bit higher with liquid fuel, some solid rocket boosters, just so I can ensure I can get it high enough. Originally, I was planning on trying to recover everything just to make sure I get as much money back as I can. Unfortunately, just due to the aerodynamics and all that, the V boosters tend to not survive a lot of the times, but I was being hopeful at the time. So after doing a lot of finicking around, I had to go through a few revisions on the rocket to make it actually work. One of the big things I was struggling with is the parts limit, because I have not upgraded the VAB yet, so I had that 30 part limit, which made it very difficult to try and squeeze all the parts I needed into that. I checked my staging after the fact, because I forgot to check it in then, and then I launch off right away. Of course, you can see in the distance there the black monolith, which surprisingly isn't its own biome. I thought it was, but it is not. One interesting thing that should be noted about this is due to the weight, I also had to use the smaller boosters as well as the bigger boosters. Separate that quite nicely. I switch over to the smaller boosters. I just have them on separate stagings just to try and get the most out of them. Of course, they don't last very long at all. And then I get to my main rocket, and I should have probably started turning over a bit sooner, but I didn't. I am pretty sure for this one I just wanted to try and escape the atmosphere. And after getting enough funds, after escaping the atmosphere and whatnot, I would be able to upgrade the vertical assembly building or the launch pad, one of the two, so that way I would have enough parts, so that way I could actually actually build a decent rocket that was a fair bit better than this one here. But, as you can see, I am turning now way, way higher up. And out of the thickest part of the atmosphere here. But running a bit low on fuel. You see, I ditched that stage, and that's about the extent of what I could have done here. Another thing you probably noticed is I'm also using Val on this launch instead. But, yeah. A little bit higher and I'll have escaped the atmosphere. I believe it's 60, 70, I think it's 70 kilometers above the surface to escape the atmosphere. Yeah. So I just let it coast for a little bit here, and there we go. I had the escape the atmosphere and officially in space. You can see I actually got pretty high up, all the way up to 111. So, of course, the next thing that I do is I go and I take all the science data and I do the barometer, the thermometer, and then I go to EVA and I realize that I have made a bit of a mistake after taking their crew report, that is, but I realize that I obstructed the hatches with this new science experiment, so I can't actually get out onto the spacecraft. But I do manage to do the mystery goo. The inline one I personally prefer just because it's a lot nicer. A lot easier to build aerodynamically. And then after that, I speed this up a little bit here, just so you can see that rocket, or the booster stage, whatever you want to call it, getting down to the ground. And after that, I just let myself fall back into the atmosphere, and as you can see, it was a little steep, so I did heat up a fair bit, but it wasn't too high up, so that heat shield was plenty okay. Of course, this is probably one of my favorite parts of this game, is coming back into the atmosphere. Just so much fire and beautiful colors. And as you can see down there, that lower stage going quite a fair bit further ahead of us. Speeding this up just to make sure it doesn't go too slow. And of course I launched my parachute a little too soon again, but physical time warp and video speeding up makes it for a bit faster. Nice little splashdown. And that's I do one last crew report here, or rather I need to I try to, rather, can't reset the crew report for that, so I just recover the vessel. And give it a second here. A decent chunk of science. Got 43 science from that. Of course, got a little bit of funds back from some of the things, but I noticed that none of my booster stages survived, unfortunately. But Val did get a little bit of experience, and first thing I do is upgrade that launch pad because it drove me insane not being able to have big enough rockets. But yeah, that's the first episode, so hopefully you all enjoyed. Be sure to like and subscribe to catch the next one. Yeah, other than that, have a great day. Best regards.